Welcome to my first open house. This house is full of mystery, twistery, and weird Pokémon. Hey there trainers, welcome back! You're with PewterCityJim, and today we're going to go ahead and fill in some Solarian Pokedex pages. Solah is this channel's ongoing Fakemon project, where we are populating a region based on Southern California with a few Fakemon. So far we have over 120 designs. I'm kind of cheating because I'm counting like 13 different unknown as separate designs, but even then, without those, we have over 110. These range from cool kitties all the way to overcooked gingerbread men. On this channel, we also do a bunch of Let's Play stuff. Right now, we're doing an art lock of Pokemon Y version. If any of that sounds like fun to you, it would be amazing if you could like, subscribe, and say hi down in the comments. Remember, trainer, you, yes you, are welcome here. Anyway, let's get on with the monsters. First of all, let me tell you about the house we're looking at today. The Wnchester Mystery House is a place you can actually go up in San Jose. It's a massive, sprawling Victorian mansion with, as of now, 160 rooms, over 2,000 doors, many of which now open onto nothing or are bricked up, and 10,000 windows, many made of beautiful pastel glass. Now keep in mind that it used to have over 500 rooms, but many of them were destroyed by a huge earthquake in 1906, including a 7-story tower. So why was the house so big? The owner of the house, Sarah Winchester, she kept building and building and building. There are a lot of stories about why. Some say that she feared bad luck if she ever stopped. Some say that she was driven by a fear of death if construction ever halted. The most common theory is that she was driven mad by the departed souls of those killed by her husband's firearms. Her husband was William Winchester of Winchester Repeating Arms Company after all, and many a man died at the end of one of his company's weapons. Imagine all those lost souls screaming for retribution. Of course, none of this is even remotely true. Sarah Winchester continued to build for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, she was massively creative and she wanted to see her artistic vision come to life, and architecture and interior design were her passions. The other reason? Well, she just liked employing all the carpenters, tradespeople, contractors, and laborers. She had the money, and she liked that it kept them all gainfully employed. She was honestly kind of a badass, and it sucks that even now on official tours of the place, she's painted as some kind of superstitious weirdo or a haunted damsel in distress. She was neither. She was managing money and property in the late 19th and early 20th centuries in a time when it was really rare for women to have that opportunity, and she was doing it exactly the way that she wanted, like an absolute boss. So, here's to you, Sarah Winchester. The home you built is incredible, and you were a pioneer in the truest sense of the word. Still, this place and the weird legends surrounding it's kinda perfect for a place to visit in a Pokemon story. A massive maze-like house filled with doors and passages and secret places? Come on! That sounds incredible. Let's fill it with some Fakemon. So, one rule that I have for this location is that it won't house any ghost Pokemon. At least none that are specific to the home. You might find the occasional Reisamu on the grounds just because it's up north in their territory, but other than that, no vengeful spirits here. But I did kind of want to do something with those doors. 2,000 of them, and many of them no longer go anywhere. That concept reminded me of places where you get turned around by seemingly magical doors in video games. The most recent example of this that I played myself was in Pokemon Anil, running around in Lost Cave, and if you take the wrong exit, you wind up back at the beginning of the dungeon. So I wanted to bring a couple of ideas together. Those doors headed nowhere, mimics, fairy doors, and yokai like Mokumokuen, which are sentient shoji wall panels or tatami mats. Fairy doors are little doors that people make or buy, and they put them on the trunks of trees or on walls in the home for decoration and kind of excite the imagination of kids. The idea being, when you're not looking, fairies can come through those doors and do nice little things for you. Some people tell their kids that's where the Tooth Fairy enters the house to trade teeth for cash, for example. I love this idea, and I think it's pretty fun. It's a creative little thing to do. Though, of course, if you're putting them outside, make sure that they're made of appropriate materials. Don't want to accidentally hurt the tree or surrounding critters with something toxic by accident. Mokumokuen are Tsukumogami-ish in nature. While they aren't a well-loved tool turned sentient over time, they are an object-based monster from Japanese folklore. They're usually formed in the opposite manner to other Tsukumogami actually. Rather than being well-loved and used for 100 years or more, these are uncared-for wall panels or mats that develop a resentment for being left in ill repair. This is probably the most famous image of them, and I just love the range of weird little expressions depicted with just their eyes. The Mimic is a well-known monster in, D&D D&D, stuff like that. We have our own Pokemon version of this in Gimmighoul too. But mimics don't always have to be treasure chests, right? What if, when roaming this maze-like home, you get to choose between multiple doors to leave a room, and one of the options is a mimic-style Pokemon that otherwise looks like a regular door? You grab the handle and boom, it pops to life and initiates battle. That could be pretty fun. And lastly, the door itself. The Winchester house is primarily a Victorian manor, but it does have a lot of Gothic and Roman influences, so I picked a Gothic-looking door with faux pillars as the base concept for our monster. And honestly, this was a challenging one for me to design. See, the idea of a sentient door is a fun one, but I wanted to make it really interesting, not just a door with eyes. It's a fairy door, so maybe it takes people to a fey realm of some sort. It's a portal that would swallow you whole. Gotta give it a big old mouth then, right? Its tongue extends outwards almost like a big, gross welcome mat, and those eyes are sort of distressed looking. Maybe it's upset that you found it out to not be a real door. My idea for these guys is that they just want to be left alone. They inhabit old houses where few people ever go and just try to blend in, sticking to the wall and closing their eyes and mouth and clasping their hands over the tops of their heads to look like some kind of carved decorative flourish. I shaded it from underneath to make it look a little menacing and made its eyes roll around wildly as an homage to those wacky Mokumokuen eyes. And here we have Unhinged, the fake Pokemon. Unhinged hide themselves away in old homes and abandoned buildings, enjoying their life of solitude. If one swallows you, you may never be seen again. Not much else is known about this Pokemon, but the few available for study are quite uncooperative. It's a pure fairy type. While it does look like wood and stone, that's just flesh mimicking those textures. The name Unhinged is just a slight twisting of the word unhinged, usually referring to crazy behavior. Misty actually suggested this name and I loved it immediately. Very punny. It comes with one ability available, and it's a custom ability I have called Weird Architecture. Essentially, upon entering battle, it summons the effects of Trick Room immediately. Pokemon with a lower speed stat will be able to go first for 5 turns. And this works out pretty good for Unhinged because its speed stat is completely abysmal. I mean, what do you want? It pretends to be a door all day and just wants to be left alone. Attack is pretty good though, and it has decent HP. The moves are... well look, I just crammed in as many room moves, slam moves, and anything otherwise related to doors that I could find. Not a huge number of stab moves in this learn set, but you could probably teach it some via TM or maybe as egg moves. I had a hard time deciding if this would be a mon that you could breed or not, but in the end I decided that yeah, it is. It's a single stage monster with no evolutions currently available. Alright, on to the next line, and to be completely upfront with you, Misty gave me a massive amount of help with this one too. She was the one who suggested creating something based on the tools of a medium, channeler, or ghost hunter. All people who go to places and look for paranormal activity. That seemed really on brand with the way that the Winchester house is monetized nowadays, and while I didn't want to make any ghosts, it seemed like a good option to make something based around the idea of trying to find ghosts. So, the first and most interesting way to call out for spirits? The Ouija board. Now, I've never played around with one personally, but they're pretty iconic in terms of seances and mediums and psychics who say that they can commune with the dead while using them. You have this little wooden device on rollers with a window in the middle. Everyone touches it and the spirits guide the group's hands over a board covered in letters and numbers to gain insight into the thoughts of the dearly departed. So I made this little planchette guy. Just a cute little wooden baby with crystal ball hands that would help it roll around on a Ouija board like that casters on a real planchette. It's got a crystal ball eye as well, and I opted for a Meltan kind of style with it. It sees all, and it's held in place using psychic energy. I added some gold embossing and detailing, a little like Unhinged Snocker as well. Many planchettes you can get are pretty ornate, so I wanted to make sure to do something like that. Plus, those spirals evoke the symbol of the psychic type as well. And here we have ABC, the contact Pokemon. ABC are rambunctious little scamps who love to try and find ghost types. They tend to run off on their own volition though, and find very little of interest as their attention is always scattered. Strangely enough, they've been known to bring letter form unknown back to their trainers, even in places that unknown are not native. Type is Psychic Grass. Grass because it's made of wood, and Psychic because it's a tool used to reach out across the astral plane to try and make contact mind to mind. That name? I kinda stole LGM's naming convention. Ouija boards use letters to allow the spirits to spell stuff out, and the first 3 letters of the alphabet seemed appropriate. Plus, it has the word C in there because it's looking for ghosts. It's a small fella too, and has the abilities Forewarn, which lets it know if the opposing Pokemon has a super effective move, Telepathy, which allows it to dodge ally attacks, and the hidden move, Shadow Tag, which prevents foes from escaping by stepping on their shadows. In terms of stats and moves, well, not a lot to write home about. It's a little psychic monster, so special attack is the best one you get. Moves are a little limited, but there's a custom move in there called Commune. In battle, this lowers an opponent's evasiveness and special defense. Outside of battle, though, it functions like a sweet scent, initiating an encounter with a random ghost type 98% of the time, while initiating an encounter with letter, exclamation point, or question mark unknown just 2% of the time. Solari and Unknown are unaffected by Commune and will not show up. The ghost types you'll find depend a bit on where you're using the move. In the Mystery House, for example, it will only summon Reisamu. Other places, though, you might find Pikage, Solarian Trubbish, or Drought Terror, or maybe just a Ghastly Shuppet or Duskull. If you give your ABC an upgrade item to hold and then trade it, yeah, it's a trade evolution. I only have one other one so far, and we're gonna have 4. Probably. I know no one really likes trade evolutions, but this isn't a real game, so it's fine. Anyway, if you trade it while it's holding the upgrade, it does evolve. Another interesting way to try and initiate contact with spirits is by sensing their presence on the electromagnetic spectrum. And by the way, there are a bunch of haunted tours you can do here in SoCal. I did one just recently with a couple of my best friends. It was a haunted tour of Santa Monica, and it was so fun. They gave us these EMF detector to see if we could pick up on any spooky specters trying to listen in on us talking about them. You can probably see where this is going. The next step in technological advancement. Technology is amazing! The power of science is staggering! Our planchette becomes an EMF detector. The main challenge was making 2 objects that look so vastly different and trying to maintain a sense of continuity between them so that the evolution doesn't look too out of left field. I kept the crystal balls for the hands and eye, and that one big hole through the middle of the mon as well. The outer shell, though, looks completely different. You also have a range of Pokeball-themed LEDs on top that would flicker and light up in battle. Probably you'd see more activity with them if you were battling a ghost or electric type, and less activity while facing any other types. And here we have EMF, the detection Pokemon. EMF are a recent discovery in Solah and would not be possible without the upgrade item produced by Silphco. They are able to read waves in the electromagnetic spectrum like an open book. They use this knowledge to track down apparitions and battle them. As they grow in strength, they must seek out tougher, more powerful spirits to antagonize. It's a psychic and electric type, and abilities remain entirely the same. It doesn't even grow much in size between evolutions either. We do see it gain some electric type moves upon evolving though, and those stats get a significant buffing as well. Alright, onto our final line of the video. As mentioned earlier, the Winchester house was a place of employment for many different craftspeople, and the owner loved to keep them employed by giving them new projects to work on. Sometimes even just having them abandon bits that weren't quite living up to her vision and starting on new projects entirely. We know that there are Pokemon who like to work on construction sites already, and I wanted to create another set that would, likewise, love to add to a never-ending construction project. I wanted to combine a few things. California native spadefoot toads. Oh, check out this toad that we found in our backyard. It's not a spadefoot toad, but I wanted to show you anyhow. I released her the next day in a nearby wildlife trail with a nice creek and lots of bugs for her to nosh on, but it was cool getting to check her out up close for a little bit. Anyway, spadefoot toads. I wanted to combine that with bricks. Little hard-working shoveler Pokemon that make bricks out of local mud. What's not to love? Plus, I feel like doing a full video with just Objectmon is leaning a little too far into my own biases, so you guys get an animal-based monster line too. Well, sort of. So I started by designing a little brick tadpole. It swims around in cement and mud and can use its flat body to smoosh clay into rectangular bricks. A little bit of trivia that helped me with this concept. Bricks are either standard, where they're flat on top and bottom, single frogged, where there's an indent on one side to better hold on to mortar, or double frogged, where they have an indent on both top and bottom to better hold on to mortar on both sides. Frogged, toad, it just makes sense. The tail's shaped like a bricklayer's trowel as well, kinda looks like a tadpole tail. And here we have Mortad, the tadpole Pokemon. Mortads splash around in mud or wet cement, having a great time, and are oblivious to the chaos this can cause. However, they are also determined to help make bricks. They will use their flat bodies to press perfectly formed bricks before setting them in the sun to dry. Type's just pure ground. It's a small little goober, about the size of an actual brick. Abilities are Sturdy, which prevents a full HP Mortad being knocked down in one hit. The hidden ability is Friend Guard, which reduces damage done to allies in battle. Bricks can protect as well as destroy. This is a pretty bulky little mon with a short list of fairly standard par for the course ground type moves, normal moves, nothing too crazy, except for the move Fling. I just wish there was a move called Hurl. Hurling bricks sounds better than flinging bricks, but it's the best substitute I could get. Oh, it also learns Substitute, because it can just replace itself with an actual brick and let you fight that for a minute. Alright, let's evolve it. This design was honestly really hard to come up with. I knew the things I wanted to combine, but doing so in a way that looked cohesive was a little tricky. And then getting it to look like a froggy friend? Even harder still. In the end, I just went and looked at a bunch of cute frog toys to reignite that amphibian fire under my butt. Sometimes reference research away from Google does the brain good. So much like the Froculine, this critter expels goop from its body. But that goop happens to be used to cement bricks together. It's a mortar, but it also uses the stuff to guard its sensitive skin from the sun, so it applies a fairly liberal coating to itself around the shoulders and head. Like sand-based sunscreen, I guess. It has feet that look like bricklayer trowels because, well, it is a spadefoot toad. It also looks like it's wearing a little vest, like a worker on a building site might wear. We've got hollow hands, which it uses to sploop out even more mortar to gum bricks together on site, and best of all, look at that happy little face. This froggy friend loves its job. It's colored in varying shades of brick red. And here we have Ribrick, the bricklayer Pokemon. Ribrick loves to build with bricks. In the wild, it creates intricate dens out of rocks and bits of mud stuck together using the mortar it brews within its own body. Trained Ribrick, though, will happily build alongside people and Pokemon on any job site available. Still a pure ground type, and the abilities don't change, but whew, it's definitely gained some size. In terms of stats and moves, it gains some serious bulk. Built like a brick doesn't even begin to describe it, and those moves expand into something like what you'd expect from a ground type toad. We've seen a lot of ground type amphibians in our day after all. This would be a distant relative of creatures like Swampert, Seismitoad, Clodsire, and the like. So, where is the Solah region's mystery house? The Pyrite Mystery Mansion would be at the very northernmost point accessible on the map, outside the wild area just barely, and north of the mountains, meaning it lives in a state of near constant shade. It would be a labyrinth inside, with a pattern to how you progress room to room. A few puzzles to make things more dire as you encounter the wild Pokemon on the mansion. The ones I just showed you, of course, along with Reisamu, Grompoli, and a bunch of canon entries from the main series games. Klefki, Unknown, Timber, and Girder, Zubat. In Solah, the 7-story tower still exists, and it would be a place you'd want to go to get a very special Pokemon at the top after a series of really hard battles, but that's for a later video. Hey, I hope you liked all these monsters. Let me know in the comments which is your favorite. I'm looking forward to catching you in the next one, trainers, but till then, take care. Bye.